As dawn broke on August 6, 1915, an eerie tension enveloped the landscape, punctuated by a sinister green cloud that crept across the ground. This was no ordinary morning. This was the beginning of an unspeakable horror on the battlefield, a scene likely to be drawn straight from the depths of a nightmare. The notorious use of chemical warfare reached a terrifying peak at the fortress of OIC, located in what is now northeastern Poland. Here, the German army, frustrated after months of bloody stalemates, unleashed a deadly combination of chlorine and bromine gas upon the entrenched Russian defenders. The attack aimed not only to break their will, but to crush the spirit of resistance entirely. Yet, what unfolded was a story of grim tenacity and tragic heroism, as the beleaguered Russian soldiers faced a nearly insurmountable threat, but instead of succumbing to despair, they chose to rise one last time. The gas settled low, turning grass black and foliage yellow, cutting down birds and insects as it advanced. With inadequate protective gear, most of the Russian troops were left gasping for breath as their lungs filled with acidic horror. Yet, when the gas dissipated, instead of retreating, a small but determined contingent of those who survived rallied against their foes, charging forward as if guided by some supernatural force. In a shocking twist to the day's grim unfolding, the Germans found themselves confronted by what appeared to be a horde of the undead wounded men with bloodied eyes and corroded weapons stumbling towards them. What followed was a remarkable display of desperation, a counterattack that turned the tide, if only briefly, against the well-prepared German forces. This is the haunting tale of the Attack of the Dead Men, an event that would echo through the annals of warfare, a testament to resilience, terror, and the unimaginable price of war during one of history's darkest chapters. Join us as we delve into this chilling and surreal moment of World War I history. Attack of the Dead Men as dawn broke on August 6, 1915. The air thickened with tension and a sinister green cloud crept ominously across the landscape. What followed would haunt the nightmares of those who witnessed it, the catastrophic deployment of toxic gas over the old Russian imperial fortress of OIC, located in what is now northeastern Poland. The fortress stood amid difficult-to-navigate swampland, serving as a crucial passage from Germany into the heart of Russia. With the outbreak of hostilities, the Germans and Russians fought fiercely, inflicting devastating casualties during a series of offensives and counteroffensives. In September 1914, the Germans launched their first assault against OIC, sending 40 battalions of the 8th Army to overwhelm the fortress. Despite being outnumbered, the Russians counterattacked using strategic flanking maneuvers, forcing the German forces to withdraw. The Germans tried again in February of 1915, employing heavy artillery to pummel the fortress. Notably, one of their artillery pieces was a massive 420mm siege mortar nicknamed Big Bertha. Over the course of months, the Germans bombarded the fortress relentlessly, firing more than 1 million shells. Yet still, the Russian defenders held firm, refusing to capitulate. In July 1915, the German war effort in the east came under the command of Field Marshal Paul von Hindenburg, renowned for his victory at the Battle of Tannenberg. Hindenburg adjusted strategies to tackle the entrenched Russians at OIC, positioning 14 battalions, 30 batteries of gas artillery, and specialist troops trained to breach fortifications, totaling around 7,000 German soldiers. Opposing them was a garrison comprising the 226th Zeeman Regiment and several militia units, approximately 900 men in total. Despite relentless bombardments, the Russians remained resolute, frustrating their attackers, who were growing increasingly impatient. As early August approached, the German leadership sanctioned a new level of weaponry: chemical warfare. The Germans prepared to unleash chlorine gas, a horrifying chemical agent first used against the British at Ypres in April 1915. Chlorine gas appears as a pale, yellow-green cloud heavier than air which lingers close to the ground rather than rising into the atmosphere. When it comes into contact with moisture, whether in the eyes, mouth, or lungs, it transforms into hydrochloric acid, a ruthless corrosive compound that can cause severe tissue damage and lead to death. On August 6, 1915, at around 4 a.m., the conditions were deemed favorable for deployment. The Germans initiated their attack by firing a barrage of conventional artillery shells, while simultaneously releasing the toxic gas from 30 batteries. The effects were apparent even before the gas reached the Russian lines. The sickly cloud advanced inexorably across the landscape, turning grass black and leaves a burned yellow as moisture quickly morphed into acid. Birds and insects fell lifeless to the ground, while copper plating on artillery and shells corroded rapidly. Once the cloud reached the Russian positions, troops inhaled the deadly gas. While few gas masks existed, many were in poor condition and insufficient for all soldiers. As a result, the men resorted to rudimentary methods of protection, fashioning rags dampened with water or urine to cover their noses and mouths. This Matahiv solution provided only temporary relief as each soldier attempted to ward off the poison. The consequences were grim. As chlorine gas reacted with moisture in the lungs and membranes, it caused immense pain and respiratory suffering. Russian soldiers began to cough uncontrollably, bleeding from their mouths as their respiratory organs were ravaged. Many succumbed to the effects during the gas onslaught, and finally, after enduring months of unyielding bombardment, a way into OIC became clear. Seizing the moment, the Germans advanced through no man's land, donned in gas masks and expecting little to no resistance. However, they were met by a horrifying sight. Instead of a landscape strewn with defeated enemies, the Russians, against all odds, were launching a bayonet counterattack. Sub-Lieutenant Vladimir Kotlinsky emerged as the highest-ranking survivor, rallying the remaining defenders for one last stand. Despite the overwhelming losses, around 100 Russian soldiers charged forward, an act of both brutality and desperation. They rushed at the advancing German lines, their presence becoming a nightmarish vision of determined souls refusing to yield. For the Germans, it would have appeared as if the dead had returned to life. The Russian soldiers, eyes bloodied and weapons corroded, moved forward amidst swirling clouds of gas, clawing and stumbling toward them, a haze of surreal horror. Faced with this relentless charge, panic gripped the German troops. Many faltered, losing their footing in fear, their advance collapsing into disarray. Some, in their desperation, became ensnared in their own barbed wire defenses. In the chaos, the remaining Russian gunners managed to fire the last 5 artillery pieces, lending further chaos to the German ranks. What began as a confident assault morphed into a rout, and yet again, the Germans' advance on OIC ended in failure. Ultimately, despite their heroics, the garrison faced devastating losses. The vast majority of the 900 men were killed, wounded, or incapacitated by the gas. Many who took part in what would be deemed the attack of the dead men succumbed to their injuries in the following days. 2 weeks after the attack, the once formidable fortress, a thorn in the side of German military aspirations, was abandoned not by direct assault, but through encirclement and strategic pressure. The Germans would occupy OIC until 1919, but not without further fight. The site would later transition through various authorities, eventually falling into Polish hands, then into the control of the Red Army during World War II, and later reclaimed by Polish military authorities. Today, parts of the fortress remain under military control, while others have been opened to the public, standing as a monument to one of the more bizarre yet horrifying events in a war known for devastation and carnage. A testament to human endurance and the haunting legacies of warfare, the remnants of OIC serve as a somber reminder of history's darkest chapters,